Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Ask Nash. I'm here interviewing the team who has made Bloody Anniversary, the horror film, and we have Daniel Florenzano. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, awesome. He is the director and executive producer, and then we have Scott Oram. Is that correct?
That's correct.
The producer, and then we have Jaron Hall, who is the assistant director.
That's right.
Awesome. Well, thank you all for coming today. First, I think I will read what I just copied from your website, so I wouldn't butcher it. Sure. A bit of the summary of it. Mm-hmm. So, Bloody Anniversary is about a sweet suburban housewife's world turns upside down when she accidentally kills her best friend while preparing for her 10-year wedding anniversary party. As the guests start arriving and the clock starts ticking, she must not only cover up her crime, but also tries to sell her house to her rich friends, all in a desperate attempt to resolve her husband's debts. So a lot going on. I love it. It's great. I think it's the perfect description because it makes you like, whoa. There's so much. I need to know what happens. So.
A lot of deception.
Yes.
Wow. You're right as well.
Yeah.
Very good. Very good.
So first, I would like to start with an introduction and background on this film. Can you tell us about your role in the making of this horror film and what inspired you to work on this particular project? So let's start with Daniel.
Sure. Well, the idea behind the Bloody Anniversary, Scott and I had just finished The Evil Rises. And we had passed that long phase of finding distribution and everything. And we thought, okay, so now what? So let's try to jump on something else. And it's funny because we were thinking, let's try to do something small. And I ended up becoming like a Godzilla, we started talking and developing the idea and everything. And, long story short, it became this huge project. We had 2 investors. They were going to put some good money into it. Unfortunately, the coronavirus came, and they were afraid of investing, and Scott and I had to find other means to keep going, but we decided to keep going with the project. And then we made the film. But to answer your question, we bounced a few ideas back and forth. And I started I wanted to start writing, but we had a few blocks in the story, so we thought, let's just hire a writer, and we did. And she wrote 3 drafts, but which was able to develop the story that we had in mind more, but it wasn't there yet. So I decided to grab the story and work on it. So I did another 7 drafts. So we ended up with 10 drafts. And then we finally thought, okay, time to start getting local people. So we took as many locals as we could, a crew. And the cast was mostly local, with the exception of a few people. Some came from New York, some from Arizona, some from Las Vegas, a couple people from LA. But majority was from here. So I directed the film. I edited. I co-wrote it with Catherine, who's the other writer, and I executive produced. So
wow.
So it was
many hats.
Many hats. Yeah. had to do it.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. So I'm Scott Oram, and I'm the producer of Bloody Anniversary, and alongside with Danny, who helped co-produce the film as well. My role primarily was to get the shoot organized, go get the casting, hire the casting with Danny, pick out the locations, get the necessary permits and insurance. Thanks to Jaron on the insurance part referral. I appreciate that. And then just to get the logistics in order and get everything organized with respect and assistance from Jaron and Danny and some other people along the way. And also to try to solicit funding. That's the primary goal of a producer, is to solicit funding, get the necessary moolah, as they say, and try to get that infused into the production so we can continue with the production. And lo and behold, just like Danny said, we had the pandemic, and but we shot the production in the month of November of 2020.
Oh wow! Okay.
And then we had done some pickup scenes sometime in 2021 for about 4 days. We did some additional scenes roughly in about 2022 somewhere. And then from that point on up to now, we were in the post-production process. And that was a bit challenging, to say the least. But we we went through a number of people in post production, 10 people, to get all the elements the way we wanted to.
Oh wow!
And
For like special effects,
color correction, and what do you call it, visual effects, blah blah blah. And with the exception of our audio designer / music composer, who we worked with in our prior project, The Evil Rises, that was it was an interesting endeavor, but nonetheless we went through it, and we were able to get additional funding for post-production, but a good percentage of that post-production budget came from Danny and I, and we've respected some other executive producers who assisted, but yeah, that's the bulk of the process of producing the film, and lo and behold, we are here today trying to promote it, and we will have a special screening next month, and Danny and Jaron can touch up on that.
Sweet. Yeah. Awesome. All right, Jaron, go ahead and share.
All right. Well, first, let me just give, as an assistant director, and I think I speak for all assistant directors, that we don't normally get to do the interviews or be a part of the promoting process that often, because in any endeavor or any project, it's some of the work that you never see is the ones that often are the backbone that make the project happen. But that's not to say that everyone didn't play their role, because as Daniel said initially, when COVID hit, store shelves were empty. We were all sitting in front of our TVs, gaining unnecessary weight and just sitting in depressive moods for days on end, hoping for the end to come. And when they reached out to me, Scott initially had asked me would I be interested in working as a production manager, and I said, I haven't done the UPM role that often, and it usually on the indie side it just falls under the guidelines, and that's usually the AD usually just does both. So I said, well, what am I doing right now? I'm like, besides losing myself creatively and sitting around just twiddling my thumbs and cleaning my bathroom. So they sent me the script, and I said, I've known you and Dan a long time, and we haven't formally worked together yet. I think maybe this is the fine opportunity. We're finally going to get to do this, amidst the circumstances and amidst everything that could happen between November of 2020 and after. I said, what the hell, let's do it. Let's go through rehearsal. You guys show me what do you have up till now? What do we still need? How can we rally the troops, have some solid commitment from people who aren't too afraid to walk out their door. So let's just try our hat at it and see what happens. And lo and behold, we go through a 20-day principal shooting schedule in November of 2020, and I remembered it was on the first day of shooting. We get to Imperial Beach, and I remember I was putting out the traffic cones because we checked out parking. We rented out part of Imperial Beach to shoot our wedding scene, and I had every surfer who clearly Koei was not on their priority list. They were only cared about their waves. One of them wanted to fight me because I took his parking space.
Wow.
And I was saying, okay, yep, I can already tell how this is gonna go, and it's gonna be a long shoot. But
Surfers are usually chill. Wow.
Clearly that guy hadn't had his shrooms for the day. I'm not entirely sure. But if there's one positive takeaway I can take from the entire process from start to finish is that you can put any number of people in a room and say, guys, this is what we got. Can you take my lemons and make Minute Maid lemonade? That's what our team did. And I have to say, I know I'm not a religious person, but I can say we were probably the most blessed team in all of San Diego to do what we did. For what little money we didn't have, to what little experience some people had and didn't have or thought that they had. We went and made a truly incredible project. And I tip my hat to Dan, to Scott, to our production designer, our art director, our our long list of post-production people. My team, my assistant directing team, my PAs, our G&E team, our camera team. I mean, everyone delivered in every shape and form that they could have for what we had. I mean, it was really a long journey, and I say nothing fatal happened, nobody sold out, and but things got a little too bloody.
Yeah.
And that's a nod to Danny because he knows that I wasn't too keen on all the title name changes. But so call that my unofficial dad joke.
Your wink.
I'll let Dan explain those.
There were, yeah. Well, we started out, like I said, we went through 10 drafts or so to really like try to get the film as concise as we could. And then we went out, we shot everything we needed. But in the editing, there were still a few things that we wanted to refine and, make it even more concise. And then, Scott and I, we were watching all the changes and everything. So the film was initially called Sellout. The theme of the film never really changed. It remained the same. But there were some nuances there that we thought, those are, for the main theme, those were not really necessary. So we ended up losing them and making, like I said, the film more tightened together, more concise. And so then we went through the first change, which became from Sellout went to be Fatal Anniversary. But then we were talking to other producers, people that really had nothing to do with the film, some other distributors, and we were not getting much love for that name. As Scott likes to put it, I sounded like too much of a
Lifetime soap opera.
Lifetime soap opera name. So
and I rarely watch Lifetime television, so
I've only watched 2 movies in Lifetime my entire life, and I still watch them till this day.
So in the end, I think we really nailed. It took a while. Some people are upset, that we changed the name Sellout. It just sounds good, but I think we really nailed in the end Bloody Anniversary, because it two words that really talk about, it resumes the whole film. So I think we nailed in the end.
Yeah, very
and we were fortunate to register Bloody Anniversary as a new name on IMDb.
Oh, nice.
And no other film prior to our title had that particular title.
Lucky, yeah.
So we're lucky on that.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the next question is, it's actually for you again, Daniel.
All right.
I promise there's more for you, but I saw that that you are also one of the actors as well. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Yeah. So you have many hats on this film, including acting, directing.
Sure.
executive producing, editing, right? Too. Okay.
Okay, I can tell you a little.
Yeah.
little
So
bit
I was
about
wondering, like, what is it? Yeah. Was it like to have all those hats going on? Would you ever do something like that again, or would you? And I was also wondering too, like during the time while you were acting on set, you know, like how did that experience go as a director, like not being able to actually see what's going on behind the camera?
Sure. As I will answer the first question first. As far as having many hats, if I'll do it again, I mean it's a hard one because it depends. We set out not for me to have as many hats. Unfortunately, that I had to do what was best for the film, and maybe if there are not as many people working in this film, I would be more lenient to give to somebody else, you know, to do a few other jobs. We tried. For instance, the editing. I wasn't going to edit the film, but we had a major problem with the first person we hired to do the editing. And a long story short, I had to take from his hands and do the editing myself. One of the problems was that because of somewhat, you know, we are not a big production. When we shot everything, we were missing a couple of angles here and there, and you know, they were doable working in the editing bay. You know, I knew I could do it, but somebody else, they would complain like it happened. You know, our previous editor, he was complaining like, oh, there are not enough this, not enough that. I said, no, it's okay. You know, I can do it myself. So we decided I was going to take that job as well. So I didn't want to, but you know, looking at the project, I really thought, okay, this is gonna be the best outcome for the project. As far as producing, that was needed because, like Scott and I, you know, being a team for more than 10 years, we know what we want. We had a little money, and like Scott went out and got more money, and we were able to make the film. For the acting, I mean, that's kind of what I like to do. I've been acting pretty much since a young age. You know, I was in a play for like 5 months back home in Brazil. I graduated here, you know, from San Diego State. Go Aztecs, from a theater program. So I've been acting pretty much on and off my whole life, which gives me a good understanding of you know, on set when talking to actors. There were many instances in our film where I had to pull actors, you know, to the side and speak to them and have them understanding what was happening in that scene. So it's challenging. I you know, it comes down to, you know, money, how much money you have in the end to be able to delegate a few other functions. But would I do it again? Hopefully next time we'll have way more money, and you know, more delegation.
Man, ain't that the dream?
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, originally his role was Danny and I, we were thinking of hiring somebody else for the nemesis that he played, but at the end of the day, with respect to budgetary reasons and constraints, Danny came to me and said, "Hey man, I think I can give it a shot."
Right.
And you know, and I looked at him. We discussed it, and I said to myself, you know, based on the script and what he wrote and what Catherine wrote, I said to myself, okay, Danny, yeah, I can see you as playing the the nemesis. So let's go for it.
Yeah.
And that helped us to reduce our budget, by the way.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do what you got to do.
Yeah.
I love it. I was wondering too, if both of you had by any chance like any other hats throughout the production. Did you find yourself anywhere having to like edit or to?
You want to go first? Or
All right, I'll go first. And this actually plays into the initial question that Scott asked me when he first asked me about this thing in September of 2020. When he asked me about UPM work, and I said, nope, I only want to focus on assistant directing, because that was where my niche was. Having worked as an AD at the time, I was 14 years in, had 8 other feature films to my belt. But I said, if I ever truly want to level up, you've got to do more features. Mm-hmm. And I said, and going in on an indie feature, right away that, okay, you're probably going to have a minimal budget. You're probably going to have a lot of first timers on it. You're going to have a copious amount of potential continuity errors that you're going to have to try to explain or try to make them disappear, even though consciously that they're there, but maybe people when they're watching, they're so enamored by saying, oh, that was cool, saying, oh, cool. Like, well, maybe it's like, we know what it really was, but to you're never gonna know. So I knew going in, saying, we're gonna do a lot of hiding and a lot of just maybe a lot of double speech there to get away with things. So when Scott gave me kind of like a mini roster of people that were attached to it and kind of in a PA capacity, I said, well, I don't want 30 PAs. I said, I need a crew. So let me individually call every single person and talk to them for about 15, 20 minutes, get to know their personality, understand who they are as people. What are their goals, objectives? Where do you want to be in the 5 to 10 years? Because we've all been asked that question in school. Like, where do you see yourself in 5 years? A lot of students say, oh, I don't know. Then you ask them after they graduate, where do you see yourself in 20 years? And then they still say the words, I don't know. So I kind of stole a page out of, what's his face, Hubbard from Scientology. I stole a page out of his play, but gave you a personality test of like, what do you like to do? What have you tried? What do you know? What do you want to learn? Because if you're going to come along with us on this ride of life or death or with bloody proportions attached to it, where do you want to end up by the end of this journey? And some people say, oh, ultimately, I want to become a DP someday. Saying, fantastic, let's get you working in the camera department. They, oh, I love like drawing and I'm really good at like maybe design. I say, you ever tried production design? You ever tried art direction? They say, no, that would be cool. Fantastic, let's get you on that. And then anybody told me, oh, I want to be a director someday. I want to be a producer someday, or I want to be an AD someday. Fantastic. Those jobs are already taken. So you're going to work in my department where you're going to learn top to bottom how pre-production is done, how principal is done, and the bare minimum of how post-production is handled. So my entire intent from the very beginning, if I'm gonna do some UPM related work, is get you on the path so you can go somewhere. Nice. Because I've always felt that school didn't do a good enough job at doing that. They'll have you learn everything from top to bottom, and Danny will probably attest to this, being at school at SDSU. You'll learn every job, but guys, at the end of the day, I know students, you're just propelled into all of them, and you would do them all at least once on a student project. But ultimately, if you don't have a focus when you start film school or any kind of institution, you are likely to be a one-man crew for most of your career and may never truly level up in the way you want. Yeah, and that was what I really wanted to have come away from this project. And now about 6 or 7 of our crew members now are routinely working in these departments, and that's one underlying thing that I'm glad we were able to do, especially when everything was kind of at such a long standstill. Sure. And you felt like you stopped growing. And like, guys, I don't want that for anybody, especially when you're working for a below market salary, or for some people for no salary at all, right. And nothing more than a good time and just a chance opportunity to work on a movie.
Yeah, I think that's awesome, and I agree too. Like, especially as someone who has like worked on like student film sets and things like that, like it's cool because you can kind of learn a little bit of everything. But, like, again, if you're not having one focus, then you might find yourself not fitting in where you are. But I do think it is good in general to kind of know a bit how everything works, because that kind of allows you to respect everyone's job, everyone's role within filmmaking. But yeah, and so now we're going to have you answer the question of, did you also have any other roles in the film?
Sure. I mean, adding to what Jaron said about people getting into specific roles, with respect to our prior project, The Evil Rises, Danny and I, and this project, Blood Anniversary, there were a lot of first-timers. And those first-timers, those films and this film, both films were their first films ever to work on, first feature. So, and that helped catapult their progression in what they're doing now since the Evil Rises days. So, so we were very fortunate to provide those cast and crew members that stepping stone. With respect to my additional roles, besides producing and getting the funding, I was able to secure some catering, of course. We got to feed that stomach,
Yes.
you know? So there was this one...
and Scotty was there a lot too. Like, he wasn't just sitting around and waiting for the product to be done. He was there every day, following the how the movie was being made and everything.
Yeah, and just making sure that everyone was on time and whatnot. And some of the catering we got for free, which is great.
That is very good.
And some of them we had to pay, but very, very minuscule. And we've given credit to those vendors on our what do you call it, on the back end of the film credits. But other than that, there were some instances within the creative process where Danny needed a different point of view or a suggestion, and he came up to me and I kind of helped him with him in terms of solving certain problems that he had to deal with in some scenes, and that was the same approach that I had with The Evil Rises as well. And so but at the end of the day, just wanted, as a producer, I just got to make sure that everything is going smooth, everybody is working together in a cohesive way, and there's no outburst or breakdowns or what do you call it, or weird things happening on set or outside of the set. We did have a unfortunate incident on our last day of shooting. But we got kicked out from the housing HOA in Mira Mesa. There was a primary location that we were shooting, and
gotta love Karens.
Yeah, gotta love Karens. But like Danny had mentioned earlier, and some of the answers he provided in those questions that you posed to him, miracles happen. And next thing you know, we were fortunate to find a alternative location to shoot. And it was with the help of a cast member that provided that location. And we just picked up our bags, drove to that location that he provided, and we were able to execute it flawlessly.
Yeah, he had this cast member happened to have a studio in his house, and he just, to be honest, sometimes bad can become good, and it just happened to be better than what it was supposed to be, so we were fortunate that way.
So I did want to ask, what themes or messages did you aim to explore through this horror film? So whoever wants to answer that, not everyone has to answer.
I can go first. Well, initially we just wanted to make a really entertaining film, horrific, of course, with a thriller, exciting, but there is a message in this film, which is kind of like you and it's in the film, and it's really like you might know someone for a very long time and don't really know who this person is. So watch who you are with, and that's one of the messages in the film. Yeah.
And also Be careful who you trust.
Yeah. Exactly.
I'll concur with that message because it doesn't just happen on screen; it happens behind the scenes as well. And I'll say confidence breeds trust immensely.
Sure.
Yes. Could get bloody at any time.
Yes.
Awesome. Well, thank you all so much for coming today and being a part of this. And I'm super excited about the release of this film. And could you remind me again where this is being released and when?
It's we have a mini screening on July 11th. We even like to give you a couple pairs of tickets, then you can give to whoever watches your show and everything, and for yourself as well. And it will be at the Regal Cinemas on July 11th. Starts at 6:30 p.m. We're gonna have the whole 9 yards, a red carpet, photographers, NBC7, right? It's gonna be there.
NBC7 and Telemundo.
And Telemundo. Yeah. So hope to see you there as well. Maybe you can make it. Give a couple tickets away. And as far as to putting the film out there, we don't have a distributor yet, but we are working on it.
Awesome.
Right.
Yeah. Just to add to that event date, the Regal Cinemas is at Parkway Plaza in El Cajon, East County, and we have for your listeners and viewers, they can go to bloodyAnniversaryMovie.com, click on the link for the special screening, or they can also go to tiny.cc / Bloody Anniversary. That's the event ticket where they can buy tickets at a discount for 15% until June 27th, I believe, and then after that it'll be 10%. So please spread the word.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you all so much for coming out today. And for all of my interview Ask Nash, I always ask if you have a question for me, because it is Ask Nash.
Actually, I do have a question.
Okay.
On that long list of post-production people, why ain't your name on it too?
Oh.
Danny, maybe we can etch it in blood.
Oh, well, if you have me work on it, but I'm just here to help promote it, I suppose. So I'm more of this post production. Oh, yeah.
Always write it in blood. We'll just slit your finger open, Danny, with that same knife.
How long have you been doing your Ask Nash podcast?
The podcast started, I believe, in November of last year. Okay. Yeah, it was by accident. Because, we have podcasts here all the time at the Film Hub, and I just kind of was joking around, and my friend was recording it, and people seemed to like it. So I started doing it more, and yeah.
I love your voice. I think you're perfect for it.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Another question. Do you think you could go further than the OWN network and have it be like, say, the Nash network?
I don't know, because I definitely have many more dreams. I definitely want to do more filmmaking stuff. I'm working on a sitcom right now that I want to hopefully pitch sometime this year.
That's awesome.
So, and if not, maybe early next year. But yeah, so there's a lot of different dreams I'm aiming for. But yeah, maybe within the Nash network, there'll be a bunch of different things going on. So many hats, exactly. That's one thing we all have in common here, just many hats.
If you ever want a voiceover guy, let me know. I'm more than happy to provide my voice.
Yes, you have a wonderful voice.
Thank
so
you.
And Scott, didn't you play a CSI agent in the movie?
No. I played a homeless man in the prior movie.
Oh, okay. I couldn't remember if you put on a CSI jacket as an extra at the last second.
Genesis,
I think it was Genesis and then Rosie and a number of other people, but no, I wasn't. This was the only film where I wasn't in the movie. I wasn't even in the movie on the first movie. I wasn't in the movie.
We'll
but our second
Photoshop
movie.
you in later.
Right.
Well, thank you all so much for coming today. I'm really excited about this film. And best of luck to all of you. I'm excited. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Yes, and I'll have the links below, and I'll put everything on the screen as well. But thank you everyone for watching Ask Nash. Check out Bloody Anniversary, and everything will be linked below. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Cut.
much.